So let's get into the stocks. Of course, before we get into the stocks, I think it'll be helpful to set the stage for the different approaches that these different companies are taking for their vaccine. So, could you explain briefly, without getting too much into the weeds on the science, of course, how the different vaccine developers are approaching conferring immunity? I'd be happy to list them out, or you can list them as we go.
Sure, I can speak to that. Let me just first say that all of the vaccines have the same underlying goal, and that goal is to trick the body's immune system into thinking that it's fighting a full-blown attack from the coronavirus. Okay, so all of them want to do that. But what differs is how they trick, right? They're different methods of trickery. Okay, and so you've got two of the leading candidates. Pfizer and BioNTech, as well as Moderna, use a similar approach using a nucleic acid called messenger RNA. All right. And so that's one of the top approaches. There's also another nucleic acid approach called DNA vaccines. I don't think any of the leading candidates right now are DNA vaccines, but we do have a couple at least that are mRNA vaccines. What those vaccines try to do is they engineer messenger RNA injected into the body. And so that messenger RNA gets into the cells and it carries instructions to the ribosomes, which are the body's protein making factories. And it tells the ribosome to make a protein that's basically an exact mirror of the spike protein on the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. So it's interesting with that approach. No virus actually enters the body whatsoever. It's an artificially engineered protein that's like the virus, and then the body mounts an immune system defense to that. So that's one approach. Another approach that a couple of the leaders are using, Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca, use a viral vector. So what a viral vector is it basically uses another kind of virus to insert typically a gene into the body to do essentially the same kind of thing, which is try to produce an antigen that's like the coronavirus, so that the body mounts an immune defense. I think both AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson are using a virus called adenovirus. AstraZeneca is using a version of that particular virus that actually caused the common cold. It's one of the main causes of the common cold. They're using a version of the virus that infects chimpanzees. And the reason why they're doing that is the issue with those type of viral vector vaccines is that in many cases, humans have already developed immune responses to those viruses. And so our immune system will begin to attack the virus that's trying to deliver the gene. And so that's why AstraZeneca, for example, is taking the chimpanzee virus approach, because our bodies wouldn't reject it as quickly. I should note, though, that both AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson also have another thing in common. Both of them have had to put clinical trials on pause because of an unexplained illness with the participant. So it's unsure if that's really related to their method or not. We really don't know. But that is another common denominator those two vaccines have. And then you have another approach called the subunit approach. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as protein subunit. An example of a company that's doing this is Novavax. And what Novavax is doing is they inject, basically you can look at it as just pieces and parts kind of approach, where they have a part of a protein of the coronavirus injected into the body, and then the immune system mounts a defense against it. And then lastly, there's the traditional approach of just using a weakened or inactivated virus. That's where your body actually does fight the virus. Now, none of the 5 leaders that are in late stage testing that are factors in the U.S. market are using that approach, but I think at least one of the maybe one of the Russian drug makers may be using that approach.